Now we start about the introduction. So our title about the administration of Islamic law in Malaysia, a case study on the practical challenges of the humanizing the statist and the federalist. Malaysia adopt a federal system of government in which legislation power are divided between the federal government and the state government through the federalist, the state, and the concurrent list under the 9th schedule of the federal constitution. In matter relating to the Islam, most are placed under the jurisdiction of the state. However, as society continues to develop and government become more complex, greater and cooperation between federal and state authorities is needed to ensure the effective administration of Islamic law. Now we're going to the problem statement. The first issue is the overlap of jurisdiction between the federalist and statist. Certain matters such as Islamic education and Islamic finance may involve both federal and state authorities, creating the uncertainty regarding the division of power. The second issue concerns constitutional interpretation dispute. Different interpretation of the constitutional provision may lead to disagreement over whether a particular matter falls under federal or state jurisdiction, and in some cases such interpretation is required. The third issue involves the administration challenges in the enforcement of Islamic law. Differences in finance resources, expertise, and administrative capacity among states may affect the effectiveness of implements. In addition, matters such as marriage, legislation, wakaf administrative, and zakat distribution often require cooperation between multiple institutions. The fourth issue is the lack of coordination between federal and state authorities. Although Hakeem play an important role in coordinating Islamic affairs at the national level, the implementation of the policy still depends on the cooperation of state religious authorities. Finally, this challenge may affect legal uniformity and public administration. For example, differences in zakat administration and state enforcement may result in varying procedure and practice across different states. Okay, now we're going to the research objective. Based on this issue, the study has three main objectives. The first objective is to identify the constitutional position of Islam in Malaysia. Particularly, it is recognition under the federal constitution. The second objective is to study the administration of Islamic under the federal constitution with emphasis on the division of power between the federal and state governments. The final objective is to propose practical recommendations for improving harmonizing between the federalists and the statists in the administration of Islamic law. With that, I would like to invite the next presenter to explain about another part. Thank you. Next, the study used a qualitative research design based on doctrinal legal research. Data were collected through document analysis and library research using both journal article, legal document, online resource, and court cases. Both primary legal materials such as the federal constitution and state enactment, and secondary legal materials such as book and journal were used. The data were analyzed using thematic analysis. Next, for the literature review, the first topic is the constitutional position of Islam in Malaysia. Article 3, subsection 1 of the Federal Constitution declares Islam as the religion of the Federation, while allowing other religions to be practiced in peace and harmony. Scholars have debated whether this provision is symbolic or whether it provides constitutional recognition for the development of Islamic institutions and laws. The Constitution also recognizes the authority of the state and the role of the Yang di-Pertuan Agong and Malay rulers as head of Islam. Next is the distribution of legislative power under the Federal Constitution. Article 73 and 74 together with the 9th schedule divide legislative power between the federal government and state government through the federalist, statist and concurrent list. While Parliament has authority over federal matters, the states have authority over Islamic affairs and several other state matters. This arrangement helps maintain a balance between national unity and state autonomy. Moving on to the administration of Islamic law by state authorities in Malaysia. Islamic affairs are mainly managed by the state government. The Sultan is the head of the religion of Islam. It is advised by the State Islamic Religious Council. The council manages matters such as zakat, wakaf, and mosque. The State Islamic Religious Department handles daily religious administration, while the Mufti Department issues fatwa and Islamic legal opinion. The Sharia courts deal with cases involving criminal law, inherited and religious offences. Coordination between states is supported by the National Council for Islamic Religious Affairs (MKI). Moreover, jurisdictional conflict between federal and state government. This conflict occurs when there is uncertainty or overlap in constitutional power. The court have resolved such dispute through constitutional interpretation. While conflict may create legal uncertainty, they also help to ensure that government act within constitutional limits. Finally, collaborative federalism is presented as a resolution. This approach encourages cooperation between federal and state government to address shared concern, reduce dispute, improve policy implementation, and promote more effective governance.
Now we move on to the finding and discussion. First, the position of Islam in Federal Constitution. In Article 3, subsection 1 states that Islam is the religion of the Federation, while other religion may be practiced peacefully and harmoniously. This provision gives Islam a special position in Malaysia and influences the development of Islamic institutions, policy and laws. In addition, the Constitution contains several provisions related to Islam. In Article 11, guarantees freedom of religion, while Article 12 allows the teaching of Islam in public educational institutions. Islamic matters such as family law, inheritance, zakat and wakaf fall under the state list, giving state government the authority to legislate and administer this matter. Next, the administration of Islamic law in Malaysia based on federal system that divide power between the federal and state government. State government play the main role in managing Islamic affairs through the State Islamic Religion Council and State Islamic Religious Department. The Sultan served as a head of Islam in state with rule, where the Yang Pertuan Agong perform this role for the federal territories and state without ruler. Although Islamic affairs are mainly under the state jurisdiction, federal agencies such as Hakeem help coordinate Islamic development, halal certification, Islamic education and national Islamic policies. This cooperation is important to ensure smoother administration across the country. Lastly, Sharia court are responsibility for matters involving Muslim, including family law, inheritance and religious offence. In Article 121, subsection 1A, recognize the separate jurisdiction of the Sharia court from the civil court. However, challenges may still arise, especially in cases involving overlapping jurisdictions, such as the Indira Gandhi case. That's all for me.
Okay, so first I will explain the state list and federal list issues. In Malaysia, the federal constitution divided powers between the federal and state government. Government has its own responsibility and areas of authority. However, some matters may involve both parties, which can create overlapping responsibility. In addition, constitutional limitation and different interpretation of certain provisions may sometimes lead to confusion and conflict in decision making. Next, I will discuss the practical challenge in harmonization. There are several challenges faced in ensuring smooth cooperation between the federal and state government. These include administrative difficulties, legal and constitutional issues, as well as problems in enforcement and coordination. Different policies, procedure and interpretation can make it difficult for both levels of government to work together effectively. As a result, the implementation of law and policies may become the less efficient.
So next, I will explain about case study analysis. So the first one is selected case related to the jurisdictional conflict. So Indira Gandhi case show that the civil court play an important role in protecting constitutional rights, especially when religious authority action are challenged. Meanwhile, the Lina Joy case show that the Sharia court's role in matter of religious status. This case proves that jurisdictional issues between both courts still exist in Malaysia. So next, under judicial interpretation of constitutional provision, the court have to interpret the federal constitution and clarify the boundary between the civil courts and Sharia courts. This is important in case involving Islamic law and institutional right, so that religion, individual right and justice can be balanced fairly. So the last one is impact on Islamic law administration. So jurisdictional conflict can disrupt the administration of Islamic law. It may cause delay, higher legal costs and confusion about which court should hear the case. This can affect the effectiveness of justice system and reduce public. They explain about impact and analysis. So the first one is impact on the Malaysia legal system. Malaysia legal system is unique because civil law and Sharia law operate side by side. However, strong coordination between federal and state authorities is needed to avoid overlapping powers and inconsistent legal interpretation. So next is challenge to effective governance. Weak coordination can cause delays in policy implementation, difficult decision making, and inconsistency in Islamic affairs. So cooperation between both authorities is important for better governance.
Okay, to address this issue, one recommendation is strengthening federal-state coordination. Better communication and stronger cooperation between the federal and state government can help reduce misunderstanding and improve policy implementation. Regular discussion and collaboration between both governments are important to ensure that responsibility are carried out effectively and that public interests are protected. Another recommendation is improving constitutional interpretation mechanism. A clearer and more consistent interpretation of the constitution can provide better guidance for both governments. This can help reduce dispute over power and responsibility, ensure that laws are applied fairly and promote greater legal certainty in the country.
So next, enhancing Islamic law administration. Islamic law in Malaysia must be strengthened through better coordination between state and more efficient Sharia institution. This is important to avoid difference in the implementation of Islamic law between states. Continuous training should be given to Sharia judge and religious enforcement officers. This can help them perform their duties more effectively and in line with the federal constitution. So policy reform suggestion. Policy reform is needed to reduce overlapping jurisdiction between federal and state authorities. Moreover, national coordination structure involving federal, state and Sharia institution is also important because it can make Islamic law administration more uniform, organized and effective in Malaysia.
In conclusion, the administration of Islamic law in Malaysia is based on the federal constitution and is managed by both federal and state authorities. While there are challenges such as overlapping powers and legal dispute, better cooperation and coordination can help improve the system. This will ensure a more effective and consistent administration of Islamic law in Malaysia. That's all from us. Thank you.